Welcome to the very first episode of Power Spike here on Last Free Nation, brought to you by esportsbet.io. Now's the time to play along in their World's Prediction series with all the League of Legends matches coming up, as well as the CSGO Major. You can play along. How do you get DJT to play? Well, you head on over to esportsbet Discord at discord.gg/esportsbet. Link is below, as well as messaging the mods there at ModMail. They'll give you 50,000 DJT, and you can win prizes depending on what you can do and win that real money in return. So head on over, sign up using our referral link, and we'll see you on eSportsBet.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the maiden voyage of Power Spike presented by Last Free Nation. This is your podcast for everything you need on the global stage of League of Legends in 60 minutes or less. I am your host, Dgon Gonzales. Joining me, of course, is MonteCristo, and IWillDominate. A familiar crew, if you may have seen us before, but we go on this voyage anew. Monty, how are you doing, man?
Good. Happy to launch the Last Free Nation brand, which you guys are very, lovely crewmates of mine along this voyage. So we're excited about that. Follow Last Free Nation on all social media, including TikTok. We're going to be putting out, content on there, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all of that stuff. We will be changing the YouTube and the Twitch names of everything once we are capable of doing that. YouTube has locked all creator names on YouTube as they switch to their handle system. So timing was unfortunate, but we'll get there eventually. And this show is going to be different than stuff that you've seen on this channel before, because we're going to be doing like some more rapid fire clips and segments like that, and try and like tighten it up a little bit and make it a different entertainment experience for you guys.
Yeah, Dom, again, you set sail with us. What are you most excited for as we create this new product?
Oh, trying to condense my NA rants into like 60 seconds or less to make it
Impossible.
usable for a clip.
Challenge impossible.
Yeah, I mean, I've just got to really work on my vocabulary. This is going to be something that will really just elevate me as a content creator, I believe.
Well, for all of you that are used to our longer form rants, this first segment of ours will be a little familiar, but we'll keep it within 10 to 15 minutes. This is Galaxy Brain. Galaxy Brain is our topic where we dive into one major thing that has happened over the League world, and we'll do a free-form discussion. So if you're used to us going on to bits, this is basically it. We just won't go overly long because we know that you all at home are educated, smart fans, right? Well, those are the only ones that we reach out to here. So
Exactly.
Let's get into it. The big topic from this past week was, how was North America going to do at Worlds compared to the rest of the world? Because we know that the world is set up pretty well. The minor regions we care a little bit less about. Sorry, Flying Oysters. Sorry, GAM, no longer Gigabyte Marines. But how would North America fare? And guys, it is historically bad. The North American squads go 0-9. There's not a single team with a little hope. Dejection all over their faces. Monty, what did you see from this first week from North America in their historically worst Worlds week one ever? I really need to hammer that home.
I mean, look, I think this harkens back to like 2015 when it was the second round robin that NA actually went 0-10, because then they lost a tiebreaker right after starting out pretty strong in groups. It was, we've seen the late stage collapse before, which means that there might still be hope. There isn't actually for a rally this next week. There's definitely not hope, guys. The morale is broken at this point in time. But yeah, I think first off, we have kind of a historically strong group of teams. We haven't seen, usually in the past, we've seen, one of the Chinese teams kind of like fail, or some of the European teams do a little bit worse. Like Fnatic and Rogue are actually doing, I would say, quite well, obviously. Even G2, I think the game that they played versus JDG was winnable at times. As far as the NA teams, 100 Thieves has been super, and Cloud9 have been super underwhelming. But at least with EG, there have been glimmers of hope, right? There have been small moments, like they had an edge against JDG for a little bit. You could see that there was like a path to a win condition through some of these like poke compositions, stacking these dragons, but they inevitably make a mistake and they get outscaled, and then they've kind of fallen behind. So I wouldn't say it's been absolutely terrible for EG. But as a region, obviously, it's incredibly embarrassing to not win one of 9 games.
Yeah, Dom. What do you make of this group stage?
Well, I'm on a different train. Everyone else is going for the 0-9 to the 0-18, and I'm going from the 0-27 to the 0-54 when it comes to tier 2 turrets. I want to see if we actually are able to pick up any of those, because, you know, if we can make this this demolition comp work, you know, maybe one of the old schools, you only push a lane comp. I remember the old school Puma and Do comp where you had the Heimerdinger like jungle and shit. Maybe we got to get all of that together. We get a Ziggs and a Tristana in the bot lane and just push down a tier 2 turret to show some North American dominance at this tournament. Because,
that's right. You take second Herald, and then you while they're taking Dragon, you just cross map with Tristana and the Herald into top side to get that tier 2. Fun fact: there's only been one Baron taken by North America, and that was 100 Thieves. So that they're also lagging behind in that statistic, but they did get a Baron. They did get a Baron.
Oh, they did get a Baron. Well,
who
Baron...
knew the lane swap meta did so much for the North American ego to make sure we could get owned by tower stats.
It's really great. So for me, when I'm looking at this stage, it's different than just teams playing bad. I think that the mental game is just not there. It's one of those standard North American collapses where somehow like being an underdog means that you're playing with more pressure because you're playing versus really good teams. But then when you're supposed to win a game, like 100 Thieves versus Flying Oyster, then like the pressure of having to win versus a team that's lesser than you is also like mentally fucking you. It's like they can't gain an advantage. These teams cannot gain any type of ground in the mental game. So for me, it's really disappointing to watch. I don't see any of the teams coming like to realistic solutions for how they're going to be able to beat these teams. It seems like when they have a problem, they're like, you know, fuck it, we'll just keep on doing the same thing. Maybe Jensen will play Azir. It's like, you guys didn't even let Jensen play Azir domestically. Like, that was not something that you guys wanted to do. You didn't play like Leona. These were not the things you're playing. The meta has not changed that much. Look at Lulu's nerfs and tell me that means that you can never play Lulu if that was your bread and butter. If that was what was getting you a bunch of wins.
It was like what was it, like 2 seconds on polymorph cooldown? Like,
yeah, at max rank, 2 seconds on polymorph cooldown, which you're probably only getting one a fight. They reduced the movement speed of it by a little bit, and then it was like 0.2 off the polymorph duration, like when you poly somebody.
That's not really a nerf.
Which it's like that's the least important skill of your actual laning. So I would just love to see them actually come to conclusions that make sense. Why are you playing carry tops every single time? Do we actually think that Fudge is a better top laner than Zeus? Is that really what the conclusion was? Like, yeah, this is how we're gonna fucking win. We're gonna give him Fiora or Jax, and he's just gonna body Zeus. Like, fuck no, that's never happening. That is never happening. So what do you need to do? Play around the people that are actually fucking beasts on your team. Play around Blabber. I want to see more of the Karma mid coming out. These supportive mid laners. There was apparently a strategy that people were saying was going around scrims.
Karma Olaf.
Yeah, where people were playing Karma mid and they were just letting their jungler perma farm. They were letting their jungler essentially funnel all the mid lane resources into themselves, and then the jungler would essentially just be the main carry of this comp. That seems like it would be much more reasonable for a way for Cloud9 to win a game than if Jensen is just going to keep on picking carries. Like, he can't, like, Jensen cannot lane versus top tier mid laners.
Or you can do it Scarfing too, mid. You know,
sure.
I think, yeah, they have options, I think, for Enchanter mid, but they're playing exactly the same way they did in the playoffs, but the win conditions have changed. It's not like everybody just load on to Berserker right now, where he has with a Zeri Yumi combination, and we're just gonna style on them. I mean, we all should, in retrospect, we all should have been nervous when Cloud9 just randomly won LCS after not looking anywhere close to the best team for basically any point in time up until the very end of the playoffs. Like, that was kind of a little bit, I would say, disturbing because they had such clear flaws in terms of individual play throughout much of the split. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it being in North America really hurts NA teams. And as weird as that is to say, they didn't get any of the normal scrims that they would get or quality solo queue experience. Like, when it's in Asia, they can go there and they'll have a wealth of scrim opponents. Nobody even came to NA until they had to at the end. So all of the Asian teams are just in Asia scrimming each other. The European teams are just in Europe scrimming each other. And Cloud9 just has a couple teams that are remaining after all of the LCS teams just shatter apart at the end of the summer split, and there's nobody else practicing any longer. Like, and you combine that with the pressure that Dom said of like being the underdog and being the favorite being pressured in both ways, which is a mind fuck. And then you're playing in NA in front of NA fans, which is another pressure on top of that. So you get bad practice. You have immense pressure from being in NA, and you're just like psyching yourself out because you think you're intimidated, or you think you should win a game and you're embarrassed when you lose. Like,
Well,
it's a pretty unholy trifecta that is happening right now to the NA teams.
I don't know. I would push back on a couple of those. So for one, I when watching the stream, I thought they were actually playing in China with Chinese fans, based off how things were going.
That.
So I'm not even sure if it's actually being hosted in NA. I think they might have just, been like, yeah, guys, it's in NA, and then they're actually just hosting it somewhere else. So that's number one. Number two, when Sven had an interview recently, he was talking about one of the issues being that you don't really know what's good anymore, because when you scrim these top teams, so apparently it's a 1 seed, they're getting scrims with all these top tier teams, 1 seeds from other regions. They're saying that, when you play against these 1 seeds from other regions, you don't win any scrims anymore. So then you don't actually know what's good yourself, because you lose with everything that you play, which is another mindfuck. But then the last thing I would say is Europe was also behind LCK and LPL coming into the tournament. Like, they were also in their own little scrim bubble, and they were able to come up with much more reasonable conclusions as to how they should play the game. Look at what they're drafting. They're drafting things like Ornn top, Maokai top. They're like, you know what? We're going to neutralize these. We're going to have an advantage somewhere else. So how can they have the same problems that NA had, but also come to more reasonable conclusions? Like, I think that there's actually such a big part of the mental game that's lost with North America before the games even start, that it's really hard for me to just even like dissect what's happening during the games. I mean, like, are you telling me that these players don't know at this point? Cloud9 doesn't know at this point to not run 5 people to Herald if you're not fighting Herald? Are you telling me that they haven't learned? Like, we knew this shit in fucking like season 9 or something. People knew this shit years ago, that if you're not contesting Herald, what do? You keep your AD carry bot, you get a couple plates bot, you get some experience, you get a couple waves. They don't even do the basics. They're going to fight a Herald when their support's not level 6. Their support is level 5, walking across the map. They go there, they see the enemy support's level 6, and they're like, I guess we can't fight this. And then they just run back bot. Like, the mistakes that they're making, these players are not actual fucking idiots. Like, they're not that stupid. I'm telling you, like, these are players that are actually reasonably good. So when they do things like this, you think you realize that they are under so much like mental pressure from the fact that they're playing against these like really good teams, that it's hard for me to view it through an analytical perspective, because they're not even playing the game. They're literally just accepting defeat.
Yeah, I think being boots on the ground there at Madison Square Garden's Hulu Theater, it is hard to, it is cognitive dissonance. It's hard to put it together. Not only the players on the stage, but as you touched on earlier, the fans as well, being 60 to 70% LPL or LCK fans, but mostly LPL fans. It is just so hard to understand that. If we have Worlds in China, there will be an LPL crowd. If we have Worlds in Korea, we have an LCK crowd. If we have Worlds in Europe, we gotta have a little bit of North American fans, but it's mostly a European crowd. If we have Worlds in North America, we have a fucking LPL crowd. What the fuck is this? It is surreal.
I mean,
and
are you really surprised? Like, look at the LCS viewership right now. Like, I just don't. I think probably a lot of the people who either flying in from China, or, I mean, New York has a massive
hub.
Chinese population. You go out to Flushing. I've literally been, I would go out to Flushing to eat, authentic Chinese food. I've been to China several times. It is like being in China. Like, if you told me I was in China, I would be like, oh, maybe I am, right, when I'm out there. So it's, everything's in Chinese. There's a huge population. So I'm sure these people support the LPL from New York, as well, because if you had the choice, right, and you're fluent in Chinese, and you can be you can like basically a much better league where there's a lot more content and there's a lot more viewership. I think it makes sense, to have those fan bases. I think what we're experiencing is the crisis of NA viewership that's playing out at Worlds right now.
Yeah. We've now touched on EG, on Cloud9, on the audience and the hometown disadvantage that is currently happening. We really touch on 100 Thieves. I just want to get a quick thought here.
Oh, here's I'm gonna turn this conversation into something else about 100 Thieves. First off, nobody's excited about 100 Thieves. They have looked like the limpest, most flaccid of the NA teams. Like, Cloud9 might be doing bad, but I feel like some people are trying. EG is trying, but they're doing it with these very, I would say, delicate and hard to operate like poke compositions for the most part. Trying to get up inspired on Nidalee playing the Varus Tom Kench. I think that's not how they should be playing. I would dumb it down to, front to back standard compositions, and maybe you have a chance to win. But with 100 Thieves, they're coming in looking very unmotivated and soulless, basically. And this is a team that has all 5 import players and 3 import coaches in Reaper, Mithy, and Freeze. Like, this is a team composed entirely of imports. And what you guys think is that the LCS teams are going to be super bummed, about, oh yeah, we went 0-18 for Worlds. I think this is perfect for LCS teams. I think this is the best eventuality for the LCS teams because they were already going to slash budgets this year, guys. Now they have the perfect PR smokescreen to be like, oh yeah, guys, those highly paid imports, they sure didn't work. We're going to North American talent now. Bring on the rookies. And they're going to use that as the excuse, as the PR excuse. You just wait for it. You just wait till some of these announcements come out to make sure that they can cut the budgets on their rosters. The budget cuts were already coming. The budgets were set. The salary cuts are coming. The players are being released. Look at fucking Team Liquid right now, guys. Look at Team Liquid. And you will realize that this is going to be weaponized against you, NA fans. And you're probably going to cheer for it, sadly. But that's what's coming. And I think it's honestly, for the teams, this is the best result, as weird as it sounds. Because if they were doing well, then how would they justify their budget cuts? Right? They can't. And the budget cuts were going to happen no matter what, guys. So it would have looked really bad for them. Looks great. It'll look great now. I think I think the orgs are actually all cheering for NA to lose.
Nice. Wow. That's even more depressing than what I already thought. I mean, I mean, this was happening either way. I mean, everyone knows about what's happening with Team Liquid. It's very public out there that they're going for a much more like budget roster. They're most likely going to be running Yeon and Ayla, who are really good in Academy. I mean, they were probably the best bot lane in Academy. They've been playing for years together. So I think that all makes sense. The sad thing for me is that like the fans will always talk about how they want to support North American players, but that's just not actually true. Like, I don't think that this is actually going to help the region at all, having North American players they can get behind. When rosters are
no, I don't think so
created
either,
of only NA teams, like if you look at the old Dignitas roster or you look at like the CLG, like they have like some fans, but nothing close to like what you would expect out of like a proper team. Like if you look at a real team with a fan base, they have significantly more fans than anything that CLG has. So it's one of those things where people will be like, oh, well, I would rather cheer for North American players. It's like, no, you wouldn't. What you'd rather cheer for is an actual competitive team. Yes. If we had any NA team it could be 5 Koreans. If we had 5 Koreans in NA, all speaking Korean in game, but they represented North America and they were actually good, one of the best teams in the world, there would be way more fans of North America. There'd be way more people getting behind them. Anyway, and they would just be the most popular team we've ever had. People care more about having a team that's winning. Like the experience of watching like North American players lose. Like if we had the same result and then we had North American players lose, people would be like, oh, well, I would feel better. It's like, I mean, you wouldn't give a fuck either way. So what does that even mean? Like
such a lie. I know.
You're not there. You're not there.
People don't know what they want, right? Like apparently, like it sounds like the NA fans just aren't even showing up to the arenas, right? Like nobody's even coming to like support the teams. Do you also agree that NA will go 0-18? Well, right now on Esports Bet, if you create a parlay that NA loses their last 9 games, you get 10-1 odds. Combine this with the fact that Esports Bet is offering first-time bettors the opportunity to get a loss forgiveness bonus one time only of up to $200. That means if you go bet on these 10-1 odds and you lose, well, just message the mods on their Discord and they'll give you that $200 back. And if you win, enjoy the 10-1 odds and also have a chuckle at NA going completely defeated at Worlds. Remember, first time only loss forgiveness bonus over on Esports Bet.
Yeah, huge bummer. Well, those were some of our Galaxy brain takes here on North American Worlds. There's a lot more to be said, so we're going to keep it moving and cleanse our palate of North America with some high-quality support play from around the world with our next segment called Keep or Kick. So in this segment, pretty straightforward. Do you keep the player? Do you kick the player out of TRYMBI, Meiko, and Keria? 3 supports who have excelled this Worlds and have had pretty standout games. So let's start with you first, Dom. TRYMBI, Meiko, and Keria. Do you keep? Do you kick? Who do you keep? Who do you kick?
I'm keeping them all. What? Those are 3 of the best supports. Like, what? I'm not kicking anyone.
You have to kick one.
You have to kick
All
one.
right, okay. Is there a third? Is it like is it like
Yeah,
like
fuck is the other one.
yeah? Is it marry, fuck, kill, or is it just keep or kick and then one guy just
Kick or fuck.
yeah, keep, kick or fuck? All right.
All right. It'll be for this first one, let's make it hard. You get to keep one, you got to kick 2. How about
Nice.
that?
Love it.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's make it hard.
I gotta keep one.
And
I
it's
gotta
their
kick
current
2.
form. Their current form
I'm
from what you've
going
seen from group stage.
I'm gonna keep TRYMBI. I'm keeping
Yep.
TRYMBI. I'm kicking the other 2. I think that's probably the best.
I agree with that, actually.
The best thing to do because when you look at TRYMBI, the main thing that he has is versatility. He could play everything. And I think that that's really, really important right now because I don't think that we're even sure where the meta is going to be. Some people are still playing enchanters. Some people don't think you can play them. You know, then you have answers like Rakan that are coming out where I think TRYMBI is like one of the best at that champion. So I'm going to kick the 2 Asian supports and keep the Polish one keep the Polish one.
Polish one.
So I think part of why this makes sense in my mind is first off, like TRYMBI's form is obviously super good. Now we haven't we've seen some pocket picks from TRYMBI, which I think are incredibly interesting. That would be kind of on the fringes of the meta right now, like. Obviously, Lucia Nami's been strong, but maybe it's not quite as strong with some of the changes to Electrocute and Nami that we've seen. But teams are still being successful at running it, and that was, a key to how Rogue beat DRX. But I think from talking to CL on Summoning Insights, like Rogue's philosophy is very much let's do what is strong for us. And I think that TRYMBI's versatility has led to some really interesting scenarios, such as R5 picking Soraka when you see the Varus Tom Kench lane, knowing that you can kind of pass this through the laning phase and have some really enormous strength with the Soraka in the late game. I guess my concern with TRYMBI would be the fact that he hasn't played any of the traditional melee engage supports yet. Like we know he can. He has a big champion pool. But when I thought he was going in that direction, then they surprised me with his like pocket Rakan pick, which is, he in and of himself is very good at that pick, but it's not the direction that I thought Rogue's comp was going to go there. I thought we'd see a more kind of tankier melee engaged support in that situation. But CL also said that he thinks the Rakan-Leona matchup is a lot better than it used to be for Rakan. So they felt comfortable kind of picking that one there, especially with TRYMBI's expertise on the champion. So I think TRYMBI's a good shout here, especially because comp has also been doing so well. Obviously, the problem you run into with Keria has been that Gumayusi is still sus. And so I like the fact that Keria is, is playing some more of these engaged supports. Like we know he's going to play the Thresh, which is what I suspected prior to the start of Worlds as we headed back into kind of a spring of this year bot lane meta, at least as far as T1 is concerned, and the kind of comps they're going to play. But yeah, I think TRYMBI has been extremely good. So I would keep him and actually kick the other 2 right now as well.
Crazy.
Question marks still remain about all of them, of course, after 3 games, but I like TRYMBI.
Crazy world we're living in where we give you bring up comp as a positive over Gumayusi and Viper. Again, Gumayusi, yes, but like give me that last year and I would have been like, you're crazy. But here we are, the group stage of Worlds. That was Keep or Kick. Next up, we bring up a game that was one that we think you need to go back and watch. Sit down, get yourself your favorite drink, maybe something to snack on and enjoy it. This is Certified Banger. All right, so for this week's episode of Certified Banger, we got ourselves the Battle of the Titans in Group B. You need to go back and watch Damwon Kia versus JDG. It was a 37-minute battle back and forth, but this is our pick of the week. Monty, why was this one the standout that everyone should go back and watch from week one?
I mean, I think this is just the best game that we've seen so far. Part of it is that Dom1, as we suspected prior to Worlds, would be better in this meta. So they do look like a significantly improved team than we saw towards the end of the LCK season. But we also get to see why this meta is good for JDG as well. Kanavi back on his famous Graves. It was a really interesting clash of team composition styles as well, because you see a lot of what is powerful in this meta right now all condensed into this one game, right? You're seeing why the Varus is picked. Like, we've seen a lot of attack speed Varus to deal percent HP damage, and that will, crack some of these big tanks that we've seen in the top lane. Teams have been, kind of pushing in that direction with the Varus overall. You get to see Showmaker on Talia, which has been one of his most famous champions this year, because especially it's a flex pick with Canyon in the jungle as well. So I feel like you really got to see a lot of the identity of these two teams. You see intelligent map play, like Yagao, who was great in the LPL playoffs, is like beating the Talia into some of these roams into the bot side. So you see how intelligent JDG is about where to be on the map and to anticipate their opponent's moves. It becomes this duel where Dom1 is trying to stack up to a Dragon Soul, and JDG is eventually able to stop this through some better scaling with his team composition. But it was really just a really excellent game overall, and for the large majority of the game, felt like it could be won by either team.
Tom?
I think that this game really showed you the strength of JDG, where in LPL they were never the team that played the cleanest games. The thing is that they are like one of the most resilient teams I've ever seen when it comes to continually putting yourselves in situations where you can win when bad things happen. And, for example, if you compare them to Top, when Top makes a bad play, it's like, shut it down. The game's over. Like, if Top's not winning early, like, it's just doomed. JDG, the thing I love about them is they make you beat them multiple times. So after Kanavi misplays early, Canyon gets that really good kill on him. What's the next play that happens? Is this bot side play where Yagao gets the massive Azir, and you can see that they're so ready to keep on going. Like, their mentality is you got to make them sweat for every bit. Like, if you lose, you lose, but you don't lose anything in the game for giving yourself the best chance to win for trying, and they will always try to come back in these games. So I was really happy with how they played. They didn't play super clean by any metric, but that's not what you expect of them if you've watched JDG all year round. So I mean, I think that this game was really good because it felt like both teams were playing well. I didn't think Dom1 played poorly themselves. I wonder how Dom1's going to continue, if they're going to still play things like Maokai, or if they want Canyon to just be on carry junglers, because I mean, he is the Graves guy. He's like the Graves in Italy guy. That's what his strength is as a player. So I think that playing around him could be pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I really like this game because you got to see multiple fights. You got to see setups. You get to see objective control. You get to see roams. The teams are actually going back and forth. That's one of the games where afterwards, it's respect. You respect both teams. You guys actually came out there and both were playing to win. Man, that type of mindset I think is so crucial to being able to win this tournament, because you have one bad day, you could just be out of here. From now on, with how the tournament goes, one bad day, you're out. If you have a bad day in group stage, you're losing 3 games, you're not getting through. If you have a bad day in quarterfinals, semifinals, whatever, you lose, you're out. So you have to be able to be resilient and shake off bad moments that happen. You have to be accepting that they will happen. You're not going to play the whole tournament perfectly, and you have to be ready to go through that battle. So I think, that game just in general, just both teams battling back and forth. I mean, sometimes, one team is making a good play, the other team makes a bad play, but they're still so ready to keep on fighting that I respect both these teams a lot. I mean, I think that they're definitely going to be the ones that get out.
JDG, the number 1 seed from the LPL, up against the back-to-back finalists in Damwon Kia, your certified banger to go back and watch to get a finer taste of the finer things in League of Legends. Just in case you didn't know at home, we have a future teller on the desk. And no, it's not Monty when he dresses up in fortune teller cosplay. It's the man who's been playing the game longer than most of you were alive and older than you were born. It's Dom, who has seen it all, done it all. So we have NostraDOMus here to give us a little insight on what's happening for next week. Go ahead.
So my take is that I think that Europe is going to have a much harder week 2. Given the fact that a lot of the victories from Fnatic and Rogue specifically came off the back of picks that I don't think will be available to them going forward. Humanoid has been the best player on Fnatic so far. His Azir has been amazing. And I don't think that T1 or EDG is going to let him play another Azir game. I think that he is going to have to beat them with something else. And other picks that are not Azir generally have a lot more issues with dying in lane phase than Azir has. They don't have the get out of jail free card, and that was Humanoid's issue all year round. For Rogue, I think that the Maokai is done for them. I mean, they had 2 insane Maokai games from NA LCS, and I think that Rogue will still get through groups. I think that them and DRX will probably still get through that group, but I'm expecting like a 1-2 from Rogue and potentially like a 1-2 from Fnatic, which would in most cases mean they probably don't get out. Considering that EDG and T1 are also tied 2-1, and if those teams are beating Cloud9 and also beat them, it's probably doomed. So, yeah, that is my take. I believe that we are going to see a very difficult difficult run from the European teams here. I think that they drafted really well, but I'm not sure if they're going to have deep enough champion pools to deal with teams specifically prepping for them. And now that everyone thinks that Europe is a threat at this event, I expect things are going to go differently in the second week.
Monty, the recent history says otherwise compared to our fortune teller. Do you agree with this take, or do you feel like the Western hope lies with Europe and they've proven it enough?
I hate to tell you guys this, but Fnatic only beat T1 because T1 like ran it down on a basically winning play in the bot jungle, and you got to catch a throw, man. And Fnatic caught it. I don't think T1 makes that same mistake again. I also don't think that, as Dom stated, the give Maokai to Rogue is going to happen again either, which was a very massive part of their victories. And as Dom and I have said before, we think Maokai is just insanely OP and should probably never be getting through the draft. You think you can handle it with like attack speed, Varus, and a Trundle, but you can't when he has a gazillion items in top lane, because you actually have to be able to hit him, and you don't get close enough when he ults you. So
Don't worry, Western fans. I hear you right now. Monty and Dom, what about Malrong on Lee Sin? He showed that he can play Lee Sin on the highest level. You can't see the future. You obviously can't see the past.
Here's the thing about Rogue. They are almost guaranteed to go through if they just win one game. It's basically
they still could have a bad week and make it through.
They can have a bad week and still make quarters, guys. They're in a great position. In fact, they can lose all 3 games, and I think they still end up playing a tiebreaker in almost every scenario. And they can even go through if they lose all 3 games, depending on it. So look, Rogue can have a bad week, and it'll be totally fine. I think Fnatic has been fine, but is very beatable and won their matches based on a little some luck, let's say that. But I think teams now are going to take these couple days off, really dig into it, and I think Europe's probably going to have a rougher week number 2.
All right, friends at home, you know what to do. Let us know in the comments below if you agree with NostraDOMus here. Do you think that the Western European squads will have difficulty making it on through, or do you disagree? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a subscription as well. We would appreciate it as we continue to grow here and give you the best content at Last Free Nation. Next up, we've got Remake, a moment, a game, or something that happened that you just wish you could just hit that remake button and all 5 of you within 15 minutes or 4 of you after 20 would say, yes, let's do that one again. And in this case, I'll go first. And I think let's harken back to a Cloud9 moment. Jensen not having the greatest time in lane. We've brought that up already on the LeBlanc. And he's made 8 worlds in a row consecutively, not including, the retirement stuff. He's the guy that gets there, right? He's North America's guy that shows up. And now he's the guy that is the poster. He got posterized by the prediction flash thresh hook by Meiko on the top side of the map. And it's in those moments where you kind of wonder, I'm LeBlanc, I got a couple dashes. Maybe I shouldn't get that close to the thresh. Maybe I'm going to try to outplay and, make him feel bad even though we're down like multiple towers. I've died a couple times and try to flash. The prediction flash comes on in by Meiko. And it is a play that you don't need to really have played League of Legends recently or at all, and you know exactly what happened. Predicted, pie in your face. I'd like to remake the whole game, but if not, just that moment. Just stay away from Meiko's Thresh. Monty, who do you and what do you have as your remake?
I mean, that whole
game
was an FF at 20, right? For Cloud9. I mean, they were just getting absolutely bodied from the very start of that game. I think I alluded to this with the NostraDOMus. I think that allowing Rogue and thinking you have answers to the OG Maokai god of Odoamne, and it's incredibly arrogant to let that pick through. It's just too powerful in this meta with the vision it provides, single target CC, team fight knockups, like objective control. It's life steal tanking. It's just too fucking good right now. You're not going to be able to deal with it. So it's time to just start banning that. Do not let Rogue get it. And the other one was, of course, what I alluded to with the Fnatic T1 game, where Owner gets a good invade, you get the red steal. And instead of communicating with your bot lane about the lane state, and let's say, is Keria level 3? Does he have Lantern to get the Viego out? You don't just into your entire game into the brush and then, have Fnatic snowball from there. So T1 played a couple really clean games. That game was really disappointing. I'm sure T1 was very mad. The thing about T1's compositions is that they've been playing a style of pick comp, basically, that is very delicate. And if you fall behind and are ever forced into scenarios where you have to 5v5 in the late game, it becomes really hard to win. So losing those early skirmishes is very meaningful, I think, to T1 in terms of how they want their win conditions to play out with their compositions and with their style here at Worlds.
All right, a couple of Group A remakes. Where are you taking us to, Dom? A moment, match, time, anything that happened here from the group stage?
I think that the game should be remade for top esports after that bot dive. That was that bot dive versus DRX was just a moment where you probably just forfeit after that in solo queue. You have a Draven trying to catch in stacks. You commit Vile. You commit Nautilus ult. You have Draven flashing in. You don't even get the kill on Draven. Then the person that's actually smashing lane, which is Knight, ends up coming back and seeing Zika with 2 kills, down 10 CS now. So now Zika is just able to lane, and everything was just fucking ruined after that. So that would be my moment right there for Remake.
You know what I love about top esports is that they're like the horniest team. They can't stop themselves. Like once the wheels are in motion and that dive just becomes inevitable for some reason. It's like, this setup doesn't seem very good. Should we in fact maybe do something else right now? It's like, no. The boulder's rolling down the hill. You can't stop it. They will wait there forever and just dive in between the turrets, and they'll roll the dice on the whole game with very bad odds.
I love this. This is sexual guru Monty calling North American flaccid, and now top esports real horny, right?
Dude, they get really horny.
Those are some of the oopsie moments that we wish those teams would be able to take back in this week's portion of Remake. Next up on the docket, a segment that gives us the platform to educate some of y'all out there. This is Listen Up, Nephews, where we take a topic and we rant on it. And I've got 2 of the most opinionated people on the planet here in the world of League of Legends, esports, and everything in general. We could talk football. The 3 of us could talk about football as well. But this is going to be one of us going at it. And, I've got these 2 guys right here with me, but I'm calling my number on this one. I'll be doing the first ever Listen Up, Nephews, and it starts here with you. Yes, you. You there at home, sitting with Cheetos on your chest, drinking water from mom and dad's faucet while you live in your basement. You sit there on Reddit and Twitter and just fire away at everyone and saying, hey, you know what? this team should do this. I think if I was running Team Liquid, I would have ran that. What an idiot. Obviously, they could see that. And, you take your Monday morning quarterback takes and put it on Twitter, and that's fine. But then you claim to be a North American fan. You love NA. You only do it because you love this region and you bleed NA. You love the new logo of the LCS. But when it's time to show up, and it's time to support and represent some of those teams that are there at Worlds, no one shows up. I have to really hit home how crazy it is that it is 60 to 70% fans from the LPL, from the LCK showing up to New York City, which is like the emotional entertainment capital of North America, of the world. And it is mostly LPL fans. And not only are they showing up in troves, they also show up swagged out. The 30% fans that we have look like they're dressed by mom and dad. The LPL fans are rolling up in Balenciaga, Off-White, Gucci. They look smart. They sound smart because when North America does well, we chant TSM, TSM. They're not even here. The LPL fans cheer when their top laner outtrades the opposing top laner. They get it. They're so smart and they show up. And this was your opportunity to do so. And I know you're able to do so because we showed up at Chicago and it was a fantastic finals. It was a great 10-year celebration. But when it was time to go up against opponents, you, like the teams right now, wilted under pressure. You did not show up at all. And those that have are embarrassed to chant. So we can't fix you showing up now unless you want to buy the Scalped tickets, which could work. You should. But the fans that are there, you got to support the guys. They are putting themselves under a ton of pressure. So when they still chant their name. When things go well, we got to out-cheer the EDG fans. We got to out-cheer the T1 fans. I know it's hard, but really, this is the only time in the next 5 years, half decade, it's going to be here in North America. You got to create a home field advantage without being mean to the other teams, but cheer for your own teams because it's pretty pathetic. It's pretty pathetic.
I love it. I love it. It's interesting because I'm not there, but my experience of watching the stream has been that it's there. The camera's always on, like the LPL or LCK fan signs. Like those are the people who are bringing like the decked out big signs to the arena. I haven't really seen that from NA, and I guess I never thought about it before you just brought it up right now. But it seems like a pretty dire environment.
Yeah. Props to the production team for making it seem like somewhat close. It is not close. It is not close. There are so many other teams' fans at the home field advantage. Like, if you want to bring up a football reference, and both of you guys would understand this, the Washington football team, now the Washington Commanders, play at FedEx Field. That is known as a home team game for the away team.
Yeah, because same with Chargers, right?
Yeah, the Chargers the same thing. People show up knowing like, hey, all right, I'm a Denver Broncos fan. We're Denver Broncos fan. I can't wait to go to the Chargers game over at SoFi Stadium.
Seriously, like I've been to Chargers Broncos games in LA, and it's been like 70% Broncos fans.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dom, get in there. What did you make of this?
I mean, look, if I was a North American fan and I went there, I wouldn't show my face either. Like I would just pretend that I was an LPL fan. Like I would literally try to blend it as much as possible. It is a downright embarrassment. So you know what? I like the fans. They should probably be coming out more, but. Maybe half of those LPL fans are newly converted just by watching their gameplay for like a week. You see a couple LPL games, you're like, you know what, this shit is pretty good. Maybe I'll keep on watching it compared to
I met some.
the LCS fans. The LCS fans.
Yeah,
Dom's proselytizing is working. It's magic. Soon the LPL guru will rise with his followers. We got to get you a costume for that.
It's funny, and missing some of the ire in the original rant, I think, are the North American orgs. There is one team, only one team doing activations for Worlds, and they're doing it throughout the New York portion of it. It's Counter Logic Gaming. Yes, they're owned by Madison Square Garden, but no, they're not using Madison Square Garden space because Riot said there wasn't enough space, which is why a lot of these teams decided not to do anything because Riot wasn't helping offset it. But It is, again, there's nowhere for fans to aggregate. There are scalpers outside not selling tickets, but LPL scarves, those signs that you see, it's dudes outside rolling up in a van and saying, here, take this for free. I know Cloud9 has old jerseys and old t-shirts from 3 or 4 years ago. 100 Thieves has a line every week. You can pass that out to at least make it seem like the guys, while getting crushed, they got to look out in the audience for a little bit of hope. And might see like a polo, one of those like rugby shirts. There's nothing out there. Maybe you're too busy making music videos instead of supporting your team that is there at Worlds. It is embarrassing by fans and by orgs that no one showed up. So again, shout out to CLG for making it happen and showing up, giving people the signs. You see those North American signs? That didn't come from Riot. That came from CLG. CLG's doing the most for the region, and they have
that's
the
actually
North American
so
squad.
sad.
That's really depressing.
So sad. You would think that they would take this opportunity to at least like give visibility to their sponsors. This is what I mean. It just feels like the LCS teams have just given up on the LCS at this point in time. If they're not willing to do these activations within, they get this once every 4 or 5 years, depending on how often China just wants to take Worlds, even when they're not scheduled to. So
yeah, and we make a lot of rants. And a lot of the time, Riot is at the heart of them. This isn't a Riot thing. This was an LCS organization thing. And, like TwitchCon happened. They were busy there at TwitchCon. They had Big House. They were playing at the Michigan Super Smash Brothers tournament. Like, come on, guys. Like,
come on.
It's
100
Worlds.
Thieves was launching their energy drink. I don't know what you're talking about. That was very important.
It was very important. They're actually tasty, by the way. Just wanted to throw that one up. Well, with that, let's do better, kids. And this is Listen Up, Nephews. All right, y'all. To close out our group stage in our first episode of Power Spike presented by Last Free Nation, we got ourselves a little game of high key, low key, no key, where we're going to cover the 4 group stages and say which one are we the most high key excited about, which one are we low key excited about, and which ones we don't give a damn about with a no key. So, Dom, let's start with you. Which group stage match, because we've got 4 days now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and each one of them are just covering all the matches of the group. Which day are you high-key excited about?
I'm high-key excited about Group D, because I feel like the best chance that NA has to win a game is against Flying Oyster. So that's going to be the determining one. That's going to be the one that decides whether or not we're going 0-18 or not. So I think that's going to be just the most hype. Most people would probably say that's the no-key group, because
that's my no-key group.
Yeah, because you got RNG and Gen G are probably just getting out no matter what. Like that, like it'd be very. I mean, unless Gen G just plays like shit, like both teams are just going to get out. But for me, that's where all the marbles stand. Like, will we go 0-18? I need to know. I must know.
I love that. I didn't even think of that one. Monty, who you got?
Right, so just for UNA fans, like the key matches for NA are probably EG G2, Fnatic C9, and then Flying Oysters 100 Thieves. Those are probably the most likely matches that NA has to win, because I don't think they're winning any of the other ones. I don't think they're winning any at all, but that's a different story.
No, don't be an 0-18er. 1-17, baby. Monty, what are you high key excited for? Which day are you high key excited for?
I guess I'm high key excited for Group B, just because we did see, if G2 hadn't completely ran it down in bot lane in the early game versus JDG, they actually had a pretty good comeback scenario in that game. So maybe G2 might be able to affect the outcome of the first place team in that group. And also, like, I'm just super excited that the last game of the day is the JDG versus Damwon Kia rematch, which also is something that might be determining first place or a potential tiebreaker. So I think this matchup has shown us like the 2 top teams within any one group. And so that's very excited.
Fire. All right. I guess then I'm high-key excited. Am I the only one that still believes that Cloud9 still can pull off a couple of games, 1 or 2 games here? I just feel like they've played so poorly and so bad that they will go back to the drawing board and just play through Berserker. Let's just play through Berserker, guys. Stop playing through LeBlanc, stop playing through Fiora, and just play through Berserker and let him do his thing. But I guess it is me. I guess I'm the only one high-key excited.
I mean, I'm just concerned about Jensen's champion puddle right now. Like, it just hasn't gotten better for most of the since he returned.
Zillion, baby.
The biggest problem with Jensen is that he won LCS by playing Zillion, right? And then he's his perception right now is you can't play Zillion. These guys are going to beat you too hard in lane. So then he just takes something like Azir or LeBlanc or Victor and does worse than expected in those lanes anyway. And then he's even more useless than he would be on something like Zillion. So I thought the Zillion plus like an Olaf Zillion plus the Wukong that they ran before, I thought that was, more of a style that actually had some chance to be won. Like, where's the Zillion Hecarim? I want to see some Zillion fucking Hecarim. Have Blabber just full clear, like put some bombs on him, send him into the fight, have him fuck somebody up. Maybe then you can win a game. That's what I want to see. But instead, we're just, oh no, we're going to play Azir. Yay, Jensen's playing Azir. Oh, is he up NECS? Nope, he's dead even versus something that outscales him. Okay, well now the Victor is just online and you suddenly lose the game. I don't know, man. I want to see I want to see a change in style from Cloud9 more than anything else.
All right. Well, those are our high key picks. I'll start us off with our low key picks. I, again, as someone who enjoys anyone that has played in the LCS and seen a little bit of life, I'm low key excited to see Day 7, which is Group C. Gigabyte, GAM. They were in some of those games that they had. I enjoy seeing Levi and the boys continue to fight back. Yes, you're going to get the tasty treat of top esports and DRX, Rogue as well, and their immaculate play from the bottom side of the map. How long can they continue to do that? But I'm excited to see a kaboom moment here by the Marines for Group C. So that I'm low-key excited for it. We'll see how it plays out.
I'm low-key excited for that same group, just because I want to see Rogue go through quarterfinals, and they really only have to win one game to do that, because I think it would be a shame not to have a Western team in the bracket stage of Worlds, and it might as well be Rogue. I also... I don't have a whole lot of hope for... I started saying DRX is kind of a bad team, but the thing about DRX is that if you give them an early lead, they will close the game on you, right? We've seen that repeatedly in LCK. It's just when you take away their tools to play through bot side, they really struggle to do that. So I think teams will have a better idea about how to play against DRX heading into the second week of competition. If they make it through over top esports, that's just a failure of top, straight up. Like, DRX should not be the better team. So I would like to see Top and Rogue head through this group. So I'm low-key excited because there's some interesting matchups there. And like I said, if Rogue wins a game, then all the pressure's on Top and DRX to fight for that last slot, which could be fun.
Dom?
Yeah, I'm low-key excited for Group A, mainly because I'm actually high-key excited for it, but then I wanted to go with the high-key meme for 100 Thieves. So I think that that's the group with the most parity right now, right? There's 3 teams that are 2-1. Which team's actually going to go through? Fnatic has been getting a lot of hype, and they've been looking better in this group stage than people expected. EDG, I think, has been looking a lot worse than people's expectations. And T1 is just weird. T1 is just a weird team. Sometimes they look really good, sometimes they look really bad. So I'm pretty excited to see how those teams make it out. And then, Cloud9 will probably go 0-6 in this group. I think it's just a straight 0-6 angle. I can't see them winning any games with how they've been playing, because, they haven't been even close to they haven't been close to almost winning. So I don't know, man. It's looking really fucking rough.
Yeah. I will say 100 Thieves and EG have at least been looked at
close
one point in a tie. There are points in time in a game where you're like, maybe this team has the advantage right now. That is just literally never been true of any of these Cloud9 games.
All right. Well, no key for you. What is it, Monty?
I guess the no key for me is what Dom said earlier. The obvious one I think is Group D, just because the most exciting thing that could happen is that Gen G beats RNG at the end of the day. They're both 5-1 and they head into a tiebreaker match, which would be very exciting, because honestly, if Gen G gets their shit together and with RNG's current performance, that could legitimately be a preview of the World's final. That's not an outrageous thing to say, especially because they wouldn't hit each other in the playoffs from being in the same group. So if we continue to see good performances, I think Gen G needs to be better. I think Gen G has been very underwhelming compared to what we expected from them. But I also know from the scrim bucks that they are just clapping people in scrims right now. And I think from what I understand, they have had a difficult time reading the meta because they clap people in scrims so hard that they got a weird read of what it was going to be like on stage. And so I think now that they're going to have a couple days to reevaluate kind of their priorities, they will look like a much better team heading into the second round robin.
Gotcha. Well, I agree. That group for me is the no key group because 100 Thieves plays Flying Oyster at the beginning of the day, and after that, all the hope is gone. I know 100 Thieves will play 2 more games after that.
By the way,
I will be there cheering all of them.
But that's the core game, as Dom said. I think that's like the one that NA is most likely to win. But if they lose that game, they are going to be so emotionally shattered that is the 018. Like there is no chance if they lose to 100 Oysters that they are going to like mentally bounce back to beat like RNG and Gen G. Like that's not happening. So as soon as that happens, guys, like that, you'll know it's over. That is the moment it is over.
I know. And I am dreading this. So that is my no key game. Even if they win, I'm still dreading this. So
I mean, it's kind of high key because like watching the soul get sucked out of NA is pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I already watched it happen live at Madison Square Garden. The fans don't know where to cheer, when to cheer, what to cheer.
They don't even know who's on our team. Wonder was right. Everyone was flaming him, but Wonder was just right. Jesus.
I think next year, I hope that teams take the time to sit down and create real chants. I was watching Welcome to Wrexham on Hulu, and they have chants for all their players and all the teams. Like, we just need to create more chants than just like saying a couple of the names. Like sing.
TSM.
Get like a small sing. No, please,
Oh,
Jesus, no.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dom. Those are the matches that we are high key, low key, and no key excited
What
about.
was Dom's no key?
Yeah, I don't get a no key. All right.
I thought you said no key was the first one. I thought you were the one that. Yeah, you said it's the first one. Cloud9's
No, that
going.
was my low key.
Oh, okay. All right, my bad. All right, what's your no key excited one, or not excited at all?
Group B is my no key group because I think that the way Dom1 and JDG have looked, I just really can't see both those teams not getting out. Or not getting out of the group. So, yeah, I just think that those two teams, if they play anything like they played in the first week, I think it's very hard for G2 and EG to do anything in this group.
That does sound pretty depressing. They're just there to fill in the scrim blocks and give JDG and Damwon camera time so that we can sell this Worlds, you know? All right, there it is, everyone. Now it's all of our high key, low key, no key matches for the group stage week 2. Everyone, we did it. Our maiden voyage is coming to an end. The first episode of Power Spike in the books. If you haven't already, make sure to go to subscribe on wherever you're listening to this. Make sure to follow us across all social media platforms. Look, all 3 of these old dudes have TikTok. You guys can go ahead and follow us. We put in the work to make it. So make sure you follow us there. We'll be putting a lot of content there. What else am I missing here, Monty?
That's it. Subscribe to YouTube. You can also watch on Spotify because we have video on Spotify as well. And it's also on all podcast platforms. So enjoy.
Boom. There you have it. On behalf of myself, Dom, Monty, and the rest of the Last Free Nation, we appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys next week as we break down all of the shambles that North America is going to be in and the successes that happen from Worlds Group Stage 2. See ya.